Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Star Wars TIE Fighter. I've been waiting for this one for a little while now. About a month later, it's finally here. Let's check out how good this is, all right? So we got Shadow Falls, Part 1 of 5. Jody Hauser on story, Rogue Antonio and Michael Dowling on art, Arif Prianto and Lee Lowridge on colors, VC's Joe Caramagna handling letters, Giuseppe Camuncoli and Elia Bonetti on colors, cover art, and the variant cover art by John Tyler Christopher, and another by Jeff Langevin. I did the best I could. Anyway, so boom. Oh, and Alexander Freed did the Star Wars Alphabet Squadron excerpt, which is going to be the Rebels side of this particular story, which, dude, it just doesn't get any better than that. It does not. So I'm loving this. So we got a whole bunch of people here. They what are the 5 main characters? Also their colonel. Anyway, basically it's just, this is an elite squadron, fairly newly formed. So they're going to do their missions and whatnot. I don't want to give you too much about the ending. I guess I technically could. They are an elite fighter squadron, and they're told to go at a fairly early in their career, hey, I need you to go and do an escort mission for this fallen Star Destroyer. Like, whoa, man, we're doing escort missions? And they go out there, dying. They go out there, and it turns out that it looks like the rebels have taken over already. And all of a sudden, these TIE fighters come out after them, or maybe these are Imperials who all of them decided to go against the grain. You know, they're like, oh, we're gonna rebel also. We're gonna become separatists and rebels. So I don't know exactly what's going on there, but it looks like there's going to be bad guys fighting bad guys. You know, people from the Empire fighting people of the Empire, or at least ships from the Empire. So we'll see what happens there. This is very interesting. Now, mistakes were made. There were a couple of little mistakes in here, a couple little, things here and there. I can get into the fairly petty stuff, like, what is this down here? Nothing to worry about. I think it's supposed to be worry about right down here at the bottom. Should be worry. Where's the Y? Where's the Y? You want to drop that Y and add IE, all right? Sorry, again, English teacher, every so often, can't help it. I pull the red pen out. I don't mean to, all right? Just but that... Come on now. Come on now. We need editors for the editors at this point. So all that being said, there's also little tiny things here and there. The colonel, she just get finished saying, yes, this is a newly formed squadron. And then somebody questions the escort mission. She's like, I hope that you should know by now that I do not waste your talents. Well, have you been together for a long time, or have you not been together for a long time? Because those two statements are undoubtedly, without any argument, a contradiction. Sorry, that's just not the way things work. Either we're newly formed, or we've known you for a long time. Sure, maybe there's the idea that we moved to the right, but no, I'm not getting it. No, that right there, that was glaring. That was just, we're just establishing these characters. Do they know her? Do they not know her? So everything after that, dug it. Definitely dug it. You get to know intricacies of these characters that a lot of other comic books won't do, which they should, but they don't. You get not just their names. You pretty much understand these guys' personalities, the broad spectrum of their personalities, immediately within the confines of these pages. There's, of course, going to be a couple things, nuance that's going to pop up, later on. There has to be. By necessity, there has to be. But you get a good, solid understanding of who these characters are. You might not memorize their names fast enough, but look what happens in the beginning. Got to get to the page because it's not the first page like most Marvel comic books. They go, boom! They tell you, look, here's who we are. Here's the 5 main characters. And, a little bit about them, names, whatever. And look at this, even without anything happening prior to this, look, stuff has happened prior to this, and they tell you that. I remember recently a pretty famous editor got online and says, has anybody not bought a comic book because there wasn't the title page and stuff like that, in the front of saying what happened prior to the comic book? No, I don't think anybody's not bought that. But if you want to do something good for your fans, if you want your readers to become more invested in a comic book, you will put that in. I don't honestly where there's a question on that. I'm not going to say this particular person's name because this particular editor has gotten a lot of crap over the time, usually from comic skaters, and that's not the way that I play, games here. I don't do that nonsense. So, the name will be unnecessary, but this individual editor goes and says that. It almost sounds a little, I don't know, it's pediatric. It's nonsense to get into nonsense like that. No, you put in the little blurb in the beginning. That right there, it set the time. It set this happens not too long after the Battle of Hoth. So that means after the Empire Strikes Back, or right during the time of the Empire Strikes Back. Boom, we've got a setting, we've got a time frame, we've got an understanding of what's going on around the individuals. If that wasn't in there, would it have been, the most important thing in the world? No, but it lets us know where we are in the comic book. Bang, right there, perfection. You can't ask for much more than that. And yet the comic book gets better still. They did something that I've been hoping they were going to do for a very long time. Look, the Empire are the bad guys. Zero doubt about it. It was the original intent by George Lucas to make them like the Nazis. Your average person if you've at least got like a triple digit or above IQ, even if you're down in like the 80s, you probably still know that, the Nazis were the bad guys. Nazis equal bad. There's really no other way to, but with the exception of, no, you have compromisation issues, okay? Nazis equal bad. Conversation is over, all right? Most of us understand that. With that being the case, when George Lucas created these guys, followed after the Nazi ideology, these are the bad guys. Yet, it is interesting to see certain people within the lower ranks. What are their opinions? I have been waiting to see some kind of ground soldier, or in this case, air soldier, but you know what I'm saying, ground level soldiers, questioning, are we doing the right thing? Why are we still doing this? The separatists or rebels, whatever you want to call them, as they state in here, are going about, and they've got, some of them actually have legitimate, arguments. Hey, careful, you don't know who's listening. Oh, no, you're right. I guess I should stop talking like that. I'm just saying, that's perfect. So they do know they are living in some kind of a regime. Remember, people are willing to compromise their freedoms for safety and security. Patriot Act. Conversation over, right? But more than that, this one guy goes and says, but the rebels definitely started this war by blowing up that battle station, the Death Star, and causing all that problem. All the problems there. They killed all those innocent people aboard that battle station. There were non-military civilians on there. Like that's what they're basically indicating. They killed some of ours. That sounds oddly familiar. That sounds like they feel as though, and maybe this is a stretch, maybe it's not. They feel as though the Death Star was their World Trade Center. You want to look into it any further than that, that's on you. That's on you. I read this and I think to myself, yes, when you're on a side, when you've clearly laid down what side you're on, people will typically defend that for no better reason than, I don't want to be wrong. Oh, that's not the conscious thought that we think when we think these things, but that is undeniably in the id. That is undeniably back there saying, yeah, ego, 100%. I'm not going to, compromise my stance because I'm not going to admit that I was wrong. I will die upon this ground. Then you will die, and you will die for nothing, because that's what happens when you stand your ground on something, if it's on shaky beliefs. But that's what happens. And it's, again, so interesting to see that. Don't forget that even when it says the end in this comic book, it's not the end. Keep on reading. There's still more. There's still a good chunk more. And you get to see that somebody may be having questions of their own. Somebody who you might not have expected in this comic book to have questions of their own as to what they're going to be doing. Now we don't see, is somebody going to be joining the rebellion? Maybe. Maybe somebody's going to be activated as a part of a sleeper cell. Maybe somebody's going to be activated by their version, the Empire's version of internal affairs. Who knows? But something's happening. I'm very interested in seeing where this comic book goes. This is cool. This is seriously some really good stuff. There are going to be some complaints, however, and I don't necessarily see these as Comicsgate type complaints about the comic book. There are women in this. There are women, and there's non-white people in this also. One of the ways that we know that Nazis are bad guys is that it's all about white and usually men, but in general, white men, white people. No, we don't want, and this is mostly the EU. All right. Nowadays it's dubbed as the EU, the expanded universe. All right. The extended universe. The Empire is clearly a racist. That's why the stormtroopers, they're wearing white. They are white. They don't really like the clones. They just no. Regular humans, but they got to be white humans. And we're usually talking men because, men. And yeah. So I can understand if people are upset that there are women in this, because I don't remember there ever being women. If this is something that Disney is changing, well, then it's something that Disney is changing. It's one less reason to hate on the Empire, I guess, to make them more human. We need recruits. We need people coming in. Okay, fine. Yes, I do prefer the idea that they're racists. I love the idea that they're misogynistic. Why? It just makes it easier to hate the Empire. So allowing for diversity, in the Empire, it's a weird thing. That a lot of people got pissed off that there were like this, what the heck is his name? Finn. That Finn was a black stormtrooper. Like, what are you guys racist? Why do you have a problem with there being a black stormtrooper? Because the Empire was always racist. Well, this is, after the Empire, so I get it. It's after the Empire, they're more willing to expand their ranks and things like that. Fine. They're willing to have females in there. Okay, fine, whatever. But the original Empire, in my headcanon, was always that, no, they are racists, they're misogynistic. The rebellion is the one that allows to have women in there. You got Princess Leia, you got Mon Mothma, you know what I'm saying? You got Wookiees and alien races, and you got, Lando Calrissian and other people of color in there. They're not all white male faces. That's the Empire. The Empire does that. Here, the Empire apparently doesn't do that anymore. So it's a shift. It's a bit of a change. Is it a huge change? Depending on how much you want to hate the Empire, I guess. But can you tell? There's a lot about this comic book. There's a whole lot that you can decipher in this comic book. What have you guys deciphered that I haven't in this comic book? That's what I want to see in the comments, because, yeah, despite the few mistakes that I said that happened here, or the things that just seem a little bit, contrary to what we're used to in a Star Wars comic or a Star Wars story, this was a really good comic book, and I cannot wait for the next issues, the follow-up issues. Plus, it's Jodie Houser. I trust her writing the Star Wars universe more than I trust anybody else at this point. Yes, including Charles Soule, even though he kicked some serious butt in that 25-issue run of Darth Vader Volume 2. That was incredible, but that was also, for the most part, only one character. Jodie Houser has shown that she can handle multiple characters, even for one-shots, and still make them really interesting. So her writing a series now, oh, hells yes, sign me on. So yes, going forward with this. Guys, get the comic book. Get the comic book. And yeah, I'll probably be reading Alphabet Squadron also, because hells to the yes. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.